Hi, I'm Abheer from Migacore. We are a demand forecasting company, first and foremost. So we don't do revenue management in the normal sense. That's who I am. That's how you can reach me. At its core, actually, before I start, I'd like to thank ATPCO because they've been super nice in arranging everything over here. At its core, we are demand forecasting with a twist. We are the other half of demand forecasting. We use contextual data to derive travel intent. So what does this mean? And I'm going to talk about this today. What is contextual data and how it influences demand? Contextual data is any data that can be used to give us more information about the current state of the world, where it's going to be, and where it's been already. This is super important, but it's also visible across our industry and across the world. We can see it from ATPCO data, we can see it from our websites, from bookings, OTAs, and airports. We can also find it in the financial industry. We see it in Forex, in GDP reports, in public filings. We find it in the ads and marketing industry. Every time a consumer books, every time a consumer searches, we know about this, and we can use this context to understand what it is they're looking for. And lastly, we find it in social, news, and web data. Everyone who uses the internet is fundamentally a customer of a travel product. And it becomes important to understand what are they talking about when they're not in the travel flow. When I talk about context particularly, I'm talking about context not for humans, but for learning machines. We want to understand how can we represent the world today and where it's going to be for machines to better predict demand. I want to tie this back into travel a little bit, specifically for airlines. You'll see a graph over here. It's a prediction problem which we were working on over the last year. This is an extract, I think, from February this year. The blue line is a actual load factor at departure for every single flight that an airline we're working with. The orange is a predicted load factor 30 days before departure by us. For curiosity, for those curious, that's about a 95% prediction accuracy, represented across all fare classes at an hourly granularity. You'll notice a few interesting things. Firstly, there's some irritations, specific irritations that have affected or caused me to not sleep at night. These come from events. And for those who are slightly more in tune with what's going on, you'll notice something else. Fundamental changes in consumer behavior impact how we are seeing the world in the future. Today, I'm just going to talk about events because I don't have time to talk about the mindshare piece. And I'm going to sort of delve into what it is we are doing with events and contextual data. What is an event? Fundamentally, an event used by RMs today is in an Excel format or some fancier representation, but it's a name, location, type, has some sort of idea. We sometimes have an idea about historic impact of demand, but that's about it. And we try and influence our pricing or revenue management decisions based on this. There's a problem. We don't know what's changed. Fundamentally, having a list of events or having a list of anything doesn't give us context about how people are going to behave moving forwards. What we really care about is knowing, are there more people who are going to go? Has the event changed? Have the dates changed? Has the venue changed? If there's going to be more demand, has the context around the network itself changed? Are there more flights? Are there more capacity? Is there a competing event? These are all the questions that actually allow us to make proper decisions moving forward. And this is probably one of the biggest areas which airlines have told us about where they want to work on. So that's the problem. I guess moving forward, we want to learn about how we can use contextual data to actually solve this. So I come from a background in technology, mostly at Facebook and my co-founder at Google, and we specifically solve these problems in the advertising industry. We worked on understanding how can we derive context from all the public data available. And it's never been possible before because not that much public data has been available until now. We specifically use unpersonal data to marry it with industry data to derive a much more accurate forecast. And we do this by fixing those anomalous bugs that you see in your forecasting, which is probably why a lot of people don't use forecasting the way it's supposed to be. So what does this unlock? We've improved our forecasting significantly. What can we do about it? we can actually unlock confidence. Fundamentally, at its core, a pricing analyst, a revenue manager, cares about confidence in their forecasting so they can make decisions earlier and earlier. And the earlier you make it, the more revenue you unlock. Specifically, pricing with customers. So I'm not talking about pricing as in the department, I'm talking about pricing that a customer sees. And this is what we feel we can unlock quite nicely. We believe in a world where we move from reactive to proactive pricing, and this comes from forecasting, integrating with revenue management systems, and working with airlines to improve decision support tools. It becomes a bigger problem, not today, but in the future. 5 years from now, when we move towards a faster, more automated pricing systems, what you really need to know is, are my reactive processes going to hamper my ability to update my prices very often? Forecasting is the solution to this problem. And we fundamentally believe what ATPCO is doing, and a lot of other companies here are working towards this vision, and that's what we do. So to wrap up, we're Migacore. We build real-time demand forecasting software for airlines. We're more accurate and more reliable, fundamentally, to increase revenue across the industry. We're an early-stage company, but we've had fairly good success early on. These are some of the wonderful people who actually believe in us so far. It's growing nicely, and we'd like to have some more of you on board. That's it for me, Migacore. If you need to reach me, you can find me there. Thank you.